Hey, this is Raul and how's it going everyone? On September 28, 2017, GoPro announced their new flagship camera, the GoPro Hero 6 Black. Last year they came under a lot of heat from rival brands like Sony, who put an amazing optical image stabilization into their action camera, and Xiaomi, which put 4K 60fps along with mind-blowing clarity into their action camera, the U4K Plus. The GoPro Hero 5 Black didn't have stabilization in 4K and could only do 4K up to 30 fps, but now we have the GoPro Hero 6 Black, 4K 60 stabilization up to 4K 30 fps and all new super slow motion in 1080 240 fps. But you need something really fast to slow it down that much, so we did just that. We got ourselves a 200 bhp leader bike. This is not a sponsored video. I've bought the Hero 6 Black and I've owned the Hero 4 Black for the last 3 years. So my opinions are my own. I've left links to purchase both the cameras in the video description. If you use our links to purchase the cameras after watching the review, it really helps our channel. Now let's get started. I've been using GoPro cameras for the last 4 years and made over 200 videos with them on my YouTube channel. Before going into the 4K 60 and 1080 240 tasty bits, let me start with the major improvements that anyone will enjoy even if you're shooting in 1080p mode. First thing is the improved dynamic range. This unprocessed shot inside the car shows it perfectly. The darker areas inside the car are well exposed. The skin tones look very natural. The left side of the motorcycle, which is opposite to the light source, is also very well exposed. It doesn't have that tendency to crush out the blacks or overexpose the highlights, which is a very nice touch. The shot looks so good that it reminds me of cinema cameras. No matter if you're shooting at 1080p 30 fps or your next film project in 4K 60 fps, this dynamic range is something that everyone will enjoy. The second major improvement is stabilization. It's available up to 4K 30 fps and 4K 60 is not supported, but the stabilization is really good. Simple walking and running shots look amazingly smooth, and GoPro does say it's like a gimbal, but we did put it against a gimbal and here are the results. You can understand that it's not exactly like a gimbal, but for an electronic image stabilization, this is the best that I've used. However, stabilization does add some funny blur effects to your video at night or in low light situations, something that would not happen with a real 3-axis gimbal. But you can turn off stabilization if you want. The third major improvement are the color profiles. If you turn ProTune off, you get bright and saturated colors with punchy contrast. That means you don't require any color correction or color grading in post-production. The in-camera white balance has improved greatly, and this means several hours will be saved in the editing process. But if you want to use the camera entirely to its maximum advantage, then just turn on ProTune mode and go to the flat color profile and you enjoy the natural colors where you can color grade in post-production and improve your final footage greatly. But at this point you're probably wondering how much better it actually is from your GoPro Hero 5 Black. A lot of reviewers shoot their camera comparison in falling sunlight. Sure, the images look pretty, but those lighting conditions won't challenge the camera at all. This shot under bright sunlight with the sun above our head and the subject standing in shade is a perfect setting for both the cameras to compare. The cameras are both shooting 4K 30 fps. The new Hero 6 has stabilization, but the Hero 5 doesn't. The Hero 6 has better blacks and also the bright tiles in the sunlight look well exposed and not washed out as in the Hero 5 Black. The same can be said about the sky. The skies are bluer and the tone looks more natural. Looks pretty good. Let's move into When I'm facing the light, both the images look very close to each other, but the white balance is better in the Hero 6. whereas the Hero 5 looks warm and needs color correction.
So this is the situation. This is how the exposure changes on both the cameras. You can understand we're just walking around smoothly, softly, and that's it.
Let's compare the 120 fps slow motion. Here is the Hero 6 and here's the Hero 5. If you see any differences, comment below. I personally feel that the Hero 6 looks much more detailed and the noise that is usually there in such slow motion footage is clearly absent. The Hero 5 image looks very clear as well, and it is also usable, but the Hero 6 is a little better. So finally, it's time to address the things that the Hero 5 cannot do. Hero 5 doesn't have Super View mode in 2.7K and in 4K mode. Hero 6 has them both. This is a minor improvement, but I see that it's not being very much discussed. Also, for the stabilization, we have already talked about that. But how about the new 4K 60 FPS? For those who are already working in 4K 30 FPS timelines, this will be a big bonus, as you can slow down any footage in post without any third-party plugins. It's about 80 megabits per second. The file sizes are not as big as the E4K Plus, but with this type of dynamic range, I think they're very much editable. Also, GoPro uses the new H.265 codec, which is better than the previous H.264 codec and has better compression, so the quality should not be an issue. Finally, it's time to talk about the 240 fps slow motion. It looks cool, but there is a noticeable drop in quality and noise creeps in. You can hide some of the noise in editing, but for any serious production quality, this is not that much usable. Still, it's there if you need it for that extreme shot where you need to go super slow. With the touchscreen on the back, now it's easy to take your GoPro for some wide-angle shots and leave the DSLR with the wide-angle lens. I found that the GoPro performed this task very well. Both the Hero 5 and 6 can save photos in RAW format, so they're very much editable for those of you who are more used to a professional editing scenario. I also tried their burst mode for capturing some fireworks along with some slow shutter night shots.
GoPro, take a photo.
The voice commands are now improved. There is a long list of commands and they work most of the time. It is definitely more improved than the Hero 5, which had trouble recognizing voice commands, so they've definitely worked in that department. I wouldn't know why I would need to use them, but while taking night shots, the GoPro was on a tripod and I used the command GoPro take a photo to avoid shakes while shooting these long exposure shots. And of course, now you have the ability to touch zoom in both wide and linear mode. This is really handy, though the zoom is a digital one and some quality loss is expected. If you dig deep into the menus, both the Hero 5 and 6 has night lapse mode and they work like magic. Even if you don't know how to shoot a night lapse or a time lapse, you can simply set that all to auto modes and they will shoot the automatic time lapse for you. Let's talk a little bit about the audio quality of the new Hero 6. It has a lot of in-camera audio processing going on. This reduces wind noise greatly, but it comes at a price. That the voice is often muffled and you have option of reducing the processing. I kept it to medium on the outdoors and low on indoors. Still, audio quality could improve on this camera.
Both the cameras, you can understand we're just walking around smoothly, softly, and that's it. Which one? Both the cameras, you can understand we're just walking around smoothly, softly, and that's it. Which one?
Also, the camera doesn't have a 3.5mm mic jack and requires an adapter, which is worth $50 just to be able to work with an external mic. Frankly, I'm not a fan of that, as the adapter is a bit bulky and will add weight to my motorcycle helmet setup. Overall, my verdict is the Hero 6 Black is an overwhelmingly positive camera which has improved in a lot of departments over the previous generation of Hero 5 Black, and it makes it a worthy upgrade, especially if you're using something like the Hero 3 or the Hero 4. This upgrade will be a leaps and bounds. I did find some issues with few hangs and freezes of the camera, but I think that will be fixed with the future firmware upgrades. The audio quality of this camera could be better. There is still no AVCHD file saving options and it's still an MP4. But these are smaller quirks in an otherwise great action camera. If you are in the US, the Hero 6 Black is just $100 extra, and I think it makes a lot of sense, even if you won't be using 4K because of the better dynamic range and color profiles and super slow motion in 1080. If you are in India, however, the Hero 6 is 17,000 rupees extra than the Hero 5 Black, and at that price it is a bit steep, but you can still get great quality out of the Hero 6 Black, so I'll leave that decision to you, and I'll leave links to purchase both the Hero 5 Black and the Hero 6 Black in the video description. Thanks for watching, and if this is your first time on the channel, we'll be doing a lot more GoPro Hero 6 content, videos, and how to operate the camera, so please hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell icon for updates of future videos. Maybe a little like would help, and if you have friends who are interested in any of the GoPro cameras, you can also hit that share button and share this video with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon. This is Rahul. Goodbye.